You guys, this is my friend Caroline, and I'm so excited that she is here to share with us everything luxury, the four pillars. And this is something that I encourage every single one of you to attend. I was able to attend, I think it was at the elite conference where you started it. It wasn't the full blown,
Yeah,
right? It was like when we were in Hawaii 2 years ago, I think it was, if
that's
I'm not
right.
mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, almost three.
Oh my gosh. Crazy. Yeah, maybe so. Yep. But here we are, finally. We've been talking about this for a good 6, 9 months, and now we have you on Zoom and we're ready to rock and roll. So
I'm
I'm gonna let you explain who you are because you're
sure.
all over now. So this is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for your invitation, Michelle. First of all, you all are so lucky to have Michelle as your leader because she's so passionate and everything she does from the moment she wakes up to the time she goes to sleep is thinking about you and your businesses. And I know that, just not knowing her on a professional level, but on a personal level as well. So just bravo to you, Michelle, for the growth that you've seen and you've brought to all the agents.
Thank you so much.
And I don't say things I don't mean, so I mean it. Number two is I see a lot of names and I get energy from your faces. So if you're able, if you're driving, don't do it. But if you're able to share, like turn on your screen, I'd love to see your faces. Thank you so much. Thank you. So who has heard of the four pillars to grow your business? Who's attended one, like the full-blown workshop version? All right, great. So my name is Caroline Guo, and I've been in real estate for the last 21 years. The first 11 years I was with Coldwell Banker Global, individual agent, and I was top 1 to 3% in the world and doing everything by myself. And I was TC, I was marketing, I was staging, I did everything. Those were the days. Remember, Michelle?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And built a big business by referral only. And then I got really, really sick, had, you can hear a little bit of my story in the MRE podcast, but I got really sick and I needed a different perspective and a different way to run the business and not like a practice because you are all running businesses, not practices. I really can't stand that word when we talk about our businesses, right? And with that, Keller Williams introduced me to the Business Planning Clinic in 2015. And when I went to that, I just said, this is the place I need to be. And so came in as an individual agent and within a year doubled my business while following the models. And then in 2022, Gary Keller and Brady Sandall asked me to step into this position and help lead Keller Williams Luxury in the role of professional development. And I am somebody, Michelle knows this, I actually used to have a stutter when I was little. I was mute for 3 months. I didn't speak. So this is very like I want to throw up in a corner whenever I do one of these on stage or on Zoom. So please allow some grace as I go through this with you.
I
And
can't even imagine that though. Come on. I just can't. How many times have you been on stage? Yeah, I just cannot
yeah,
imagine
and I'm
it.
throwing up before then. So and I'm like walking around, everybody in the back, back of the stage knows, okay, Caroline's doing her thing again. And then in about 2 years ago, Keller Williams University asked me, they said, we really respect your business. Can you write a course? And of course, Brady, Keller Williams University, and I wrote this course called The Four Essential Pillars to Grow Your Luxury Business. Now, the word luxury is in it. However, please know that this applies to any business. Whether you're aspiring luxury, you're already in luxury and you want to level up, or you're in a different type of business, or you have an ancillary business that is not in real estate, but is service oriented, this course is for you. So this is actually a 6-hour workshop, which I teach every quarter now on Zoom, and we had it at Family Reunion. It was sold out. It was so successful. Corporate asked me to teach it again at Mega Agent Camp in person. So you're getting the 1 hour abridged version of it as a favor to Michelle. And if you like to actually sit in, have one-on-one time with me, and experience it in person where we deep dive into it, I invite you to sign up at my Mega Agent Camp for that. It's going to be on Sunday, and I have a QR link to that. So who's been in the real estate, just for the like, so I get to know the room, who's been in business for between 1 to 3 years? Within 1 to 3 years. Okay, great. And you're still here. Yay. Congratulations. How about like 5 to 10 years? Who's been in business 5 to 10 years? Okay, more than 10 years? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, this helps me with this. So you will find something, I hope, that is relevant to you. The entire hour may be relevant. You may take one golden nugget from this that could change your business. And my ask is that this is just the start. And whatever we conclude with today, this is starting your playbooks, right? Do not stop learning about this or investing in your business after this hour, because you'll get some action items and some tangible to-dos. Don't just ignore it. All right. You're investing an hour of your time here. Please do put into action. I promise you it will change your business. We're already seeing people's businesses grow tremendously from taking this course. So before that's it. That's who I am. And we have any questions? Oh, okay. I still lead a team. I am still the lead listing agent on our team.
I
And
think that's important to share because that's
yeah,
so beautiful how with Keller Williams, you're able to do so much.
yes.
Even though
And
your plate's kind of like getting heavier and heavier and heavier.
yeah, it is a lot of time management. I've learned to own my calendar, and I look at it every single day. Something Gary taught was, if you look at your calendar, does it match your goals? Does your calendar match your goals? So Brian, if you said, Caroline, my goal is X, if I open up your calendar, will it reflect that? I'm sure it does. So ask yourself, oh, okay, Melissa's like, So isn't that a great quote Gary had, right? If I were to open up a calendar, would I be able to see in one snapshot what your goals are? So if it's not, it's a great time, maybe this weekend, to review and reorganize. And John Maxwell says there are 3 things he looks for in a calendar. Number 1, I'm going off script now. Number 1 is, what are the must-dos in order for me to be the best in my business, to be the best partner or spouse, to be the best parent? So what are the must-dos in every category of my life in order to be the best? Number 2, what are the things that generate the most return on investment in my activities? All right. So number 2. And number 3 is, what gives me joy? And he says, because if you do number 1 and number 2 and you're not happy doing it, you're not in alignment and you're going to have burnout. But it's also important to ask those 3 questions in that order, because that is how you're going to build a business. What are the must-dos in every aspect of my life to be the best? What are the must-do activities and appointments that generate the most return on investment? Number 3, what brings me joy? Now, if we look at your calendar, a lot of people talk about spending time. Rephrase that and start thinking about investing your time. Where are you investing your time? And Gary says, we all have 24 hours. You can use it stupid or you can use it smart. His words, not mine. So how are we using our time? Okay, with that said, I'll go, may I share my screen?
You
Okay.
have control.
Great, all right.
But I don't see your screen yet if you.
I am going to share it now. I don't know what it looks like when I start sharing it, so here we go. Not bad.
No, you're good to go.
Good, good, good. All right. Let's do,
I absolutely love those questions.
yeah, isn't that important?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing a time management class next week. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that's
Yep.
awesome.
And then, the other day I looked at my calendar and I said, no wonder I feel exhausted. Okay. Yeah. So it's completely like, it was a wake up call for me. Right. And so no wonder I was exhausted, because I was not doing things that were bringing alignment to the goals.
Right.
All right. So there are 4 pillars to any business. Number 1 is the client experience. We are in a service-based business, right? Number 2 is your culture story. How does your culture story show up? Do you have one? If you don't have one, it's time to create one. The culture is really who you are, right? Who you are, what you stand for, what you stand up for, right? How others expect to be treated from you. And most importantly, how you should be expected to be treated in return. Once you're very clear about your culture and your value, decisions will be easier. Number 3 is your brand. Okay. What is your brand? Now, many people spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars designing a logo, but what does it stand for? If I asked you, all right, what's your brand promise? Do you know? Can you convey it? On number 4, now you have all of that, but you don't have a database, then you don't really have a business. So how do you grow a database? How do you grow a luxury database? So I always like to start with this. Number 1, your client experience. Michelle?
Are your slides supposed to be going with you?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
thank you. So if we're talking about client experience, so just imagine you have saved all your life, right, to retire or move to a town of your dreams. Okay, I'll do this. A town of your dreams. And then you save up and then you're really excited. You find somebody on Google, an agent on Google, and you pack up the family and you're ready to go. And when you go, then, you land, you're exhausted, you've got the kids with you, and then you find your hotel, and the next day you're driving to the agent's office and you don't know where to park. Okay, finally, like you find parking in this obscure area and you go up to the lobby and there's nobody there to greet you. And you're like pressing the bell, ding, 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 like, hello, what's going on? And all of a sudden you hear this rustling of papers and you see this agent just flying down the hallway, like, oh my gosh, Caroline, you're early. Oh my gosh, you brought the kids. I wasn't expecting you to bring the kids. Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? We might need to take 2 cars. So why don't we go into this room and let's just get started. And then you go through the the process. You're looking at homes, you're on Redfin, you're looking at houses for yourself. And then finally you find something and then you're moving, you're having to ask your agents all these questions just to even know what the process is like, what you need to do, who your movers need to be. And finally you move in and then 30 days later, your agent goes, that was a great transaction. Can you give me a 5-star review? All right, that's agent number 1. Agent number 2, all right, the day before you're about to leave, an email comes through and says, we're so delighted to welcome you into this town. And this is your hotel. This is the address. We'll be sure to have everything available for you, whatever you may need. Here's my number. Call us anytime, right? We'll be expecting you. You arrive at the hotel. There's a beautiful basket of goodies for your children. There's another basket of goodies for you, all your favorite beverages and snacks. And then that evening, an email comes through. We're so delighted to see you tomorrow. Here are the parking directions here's directions to our office, and this is where you park. You have this, you park easily, you go into the office, and then the receptionist sees you and comes around the corner and greets you by name before you can even open your mouth. Hello, Caroline. We're so delighted to see you. Claire and Matthew, we have a babysitter right here. They've got all your favorite games and all the activities and videos for you. So Caroline, you and your husband can sit down and let's concentrate on your home search. Then you're in the car. Then there's this basket full of goodies for you during this very long tour. Then you have a whole binder of all the properties you're going to see and tour that day, plus information about school district, information about activities for your children, all of that. And throughout the entire transactional journey, your agent is telling you what's going to happen next without even having to ask. As you're packing on your way to move, dinner or lunch is sent over to you. So that's one less thing for you to think of. After you move, they throw a welcome party for you so that you can meet your neighbors and really start blending into the community. 30 days later, you receive a call from the agent and says, Caroline, I just want to check in. How's your transition coming along? How are you integrating into the community? And by the way, if we've earned a 5-star review, would you consider writing one for us? So what are the words that describe agent number 1? Feel free to come off mute.
Disorganized.
Disorganized.
Unprepared.
Unprepared. Yes. How
Not
did you
professional.
feel? Not professional. How did you feel?
Anxiety.
Yeah. Anxious, right?
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, you feel rushed. It seems like it's very disorganized. So then I would panic and think to myself like, oh gosh, she's like, I'm intrusive with my children as well.
Yes. Totally.
I'm bothering her. Like she can't even handle because I showed up with my kids.
Yes. How did you feel about agent number 2?
Amazing. I loved it because she has direction and she's telling me what to do, so I don't have to figure it out. Because if I had my 2 kids in hand, I would first, I obviously hold my children, right? And I already have my hands full. So that would be a big weight lifted off my shoulders. So I would be very impressed and I would be like a breath of fresh air kind of feeling, right?
Absolutely. Beautifully
Can
said.
I just say something really quick? Carmela, welcome to KW California Premiere. Today's her first day and she's chiming in. So
Oh my gosh. Welcome, Carmela.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Jose?
And yes.
Yes, Jose. Are you waving or do you have something to say? Okay. What else? Feelings of agent number 2.
Cared for.
You feel cared for. That's right, Brian. Now, who would you refer?
Agent number 2.
Agent number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. So just know this, just because you close a transaction, they don't owe you a referral. They don't owe you a review. You have to be referable. How do you show up to be referable? Everybody on this screen has exact same job description. So how are you going to be different from your competitor? How are you going to show up differently? What is their experience going to be like when working with you? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right. It's kind of that high level stuff. All right. Let me share my, okay. Let's put this down here. All right. So the format, the framework is, what does it look like, sound like, and feel like? Look, sound, and feel. So when was the last time, I'd like you to start doing this. When was the last time you received an exceptional client experience? When was the last time you received an exceptional client experience? What did it look like to you? What did it sound like? What did it feel like to you? So take a minute or two to start thinking about it and write it down. Oh, I'm trying to get speaker view here. What it look like, sound like, and feel like. There's a method to this madness, and I'll share it later. All right, who would like to share? Again, this is actually highly participatory session. So who would like to share? Because we all learn from each other.
I am Alicia. Sorry, my thing says KW Premiere.
Hi, Alicia.
It looks like the last time I had a client experience at a salon.
Mhm.
It sounds like ambient music and soft voices, and it feels clean and just nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clean, nice, ambient. Did it feel like you were relaxed?
Absolutely.
Yes. Right? Who's next? Thank you for sharing. Carmela?
Yeah. So I would say the experience, I'm at a med spa right now, which is my other job, right? I have my business here. But there's a little gal here. She's to the left of me. She's a massage therapist. And I would have to say it was great. Like she was inviting. She made me feel comfortable. She was on time. I didn't feel rushed. She asked about how was her pressure because it was our first session. She also told me what to do after. She had water. It smelled delicious. There was I remember the warmth on the table that she had for me. Her blankets were very soft. It was very open and welcoming. And I would say it was a super excellent experience to the end, even to her rebooking for me. So I wouldn't have to worry. She knows how busy I am,
I
right?
love
So she says, I know you're not going to get in here because I know how busy you are running
Yeah.
all your businesses. Let's book you now because that's what you said to me. So she
Yes.
came back at me, which made me feel that she was listening to me
Yes.
and she knew me and everything to the point where she was like, hey, why don't we just do this? Because I know you're going to never X, Y, and Z unless we do it now. So
Right.
from beginning to end, and then I left with the water and I felt very relaxed and it was great because she said, where do you want me to focus on? Right. She didn't just do a massage. And the way her room is set up is so clean and open and beautiful. And the music, just the scent, everything, you know?
What I'm hearing is that she was anticipatory, right? That's a key word in any kind of
Okay.
experience, is that she anticipated what you needed and the questions that you might be asking, and she asked you questions and she checked on you along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recalibrating, is she on the right track so that you're the
Yes.
most comfortable? I love that. And Brian?
Correct.
Yes. I thought about a previous hotel experience that I had. What did it look like? It looked luxurious, orderly. Everything had a purpose, but also everything, even though it was purposeful in the way things were designed, it was just beautiful. It stood out from other hotels in that way. What did it sound like? It was very peaceful, calm. Not There wasn't anything hectic about it. It was, I think orderly is another word I would use for it. And then what did it feel like to me? It felt like I was cared for. All my needs were anticipated for. I remember thinking I probably didn't even need to bring anything. If I forgot something, they would have something that would substitute whatever I forgot, or they would have something that would meet that need if I forgot something. Like if I didn't bring any clothes, they would have clothes for me.
Amazing. So Brian, may I ask if that was a nationwide or global hotel chain, hotel brand?
No, I don't think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if they were, would you expect that they would have the same standards in place?
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
something? Yeah. So how wonderful is that, right? So what I want you to know is that luxury is not the price point. It is the experience. All right. From a nail salon to a high-end boutique hotel. Do you see that when they're talking about the experience they're having? So everyone in our world deserves a luxury experience, no matter they're buying a one studio condo fresh out of college or the C-suite purchasing their income or vacation property. Everyone deserves it. We're all human,
Mhm.
right? So with that said, this is how we're going to start, building it on your own, start thinking about it. Now, luxury need not be expensive, right? It's all about the experience you provide. It is anticipatory, it is intentional, it is meaningful, It is anticipating problems before your clients even know they have it. It is solving the problems before they even happen. It has to be easy, fast, and beautifully finished. Everybody thinks agents get paid too much. Have you heard that? We are paid in proportion to the problems we solve and how easy we make it. So every time we solve a problem for them, every time we make it easy for them, it emphasizes our worth and our value. So what in your client experience can make your clients say that about you? So it's a lot of perspective work today, all right? So now we're going to go the other spectrum. When was the last time you received a less than desirable experience?
I feel like it's all too often. You asked the question of the exceptional experience. I couldn't come up with one.
Yeah.
So it's just like your podcast, you had said it's the Ritz-Carlton example. It's always the opposite. Oh, person with the magazine in the front, it's over there to the right.
Yeah.
And then you just, the room's going to be on the left.
Yeah.
I get that. Nail salons, I guess I'm not going to the right places.
Exactly.
I feel that more. I could recognize that more than exceptional.
Yes. And so now that you know, you're going to be really mindful, right? Your reticular activator is going to be mindful of this. And for Melissa, what she said was, I had given an example of a 1-star or maybe no star versus a 5-star experience. So maybe you go into a 1-star hotel and you walk in, you say, "Excuse me, where's the elevator?" And they're leaning against their counter. They're probably like on their phones or have a magazine. They're going like, "Oh, it's down the way to the left." And they don't even make eye contact with you. Maybe a 3-star, maybe they won't have the phone in front of them. Maybe they will greet you, but they will say like, "Oh, it's down there to the left." Now the 5-star experience is, "Welcome, Melissa. Let me walk you to the hotel." Right? Oh, let me walk you to the elevator. They come around, they walk you to the elevator, they press the button for you so that you don't have to. They're making conversation with you, asking about all about you, not talking about them. They wait for the doors to open, you step in, and they close the door and they say, "Have a wonderful day. Welcome back." Doesn't that feel different? So again, what in your experience can make your clients feel like they're the only one? Right? So a lot of times during this time, we're talking about less than ideal experience. People will get very angry. They talking about experiences. And I want to share with you that people have big mouths, right? And people like posting reviews when they have a strong opinion. So it could take, imagine being at the French Laundry, right? You've saved, you're going to French Laundry, you're about to have this exceptional experience you've heard about. And then you're having course after course after course, and you're just loving the experience, loving every bite. And at the end of the bite, there's a fly in the dessert, right? So when people ask you, "What's your experience with French Laundry?" What would you say? They're going to talk about the fly in the dessert, right? It was great, but guess what happened? There was a fly in the dessert. So how do we fly? It never happened to me. I'm just using this as an example, so don't don't report me. Is that how do we fly proof? And our teams, like, how do we fly proof this experience? Because people will talk about what goes around all day long. Now, if things do go wrong, and they do, because it is real estate, how you recover is everything. So do you have a plan in place on recovery when things do go wrong? All right, so my next question is, what do others say about you? And what do you want your clients to feel when they refer you? What do you want them to say about you? So currently, if you don't know, you may look at your reviews, look at your testimonials. What do others say about you right now? And just like that exercise when we had about an exceptional experience and then agent 1, agent 2, that feeling, how do you want your clients to feel when they do refer you? Proud, excited, like can't wait for their friends and family to work with you, have that experience? And then what do you want them to say about you? So take some time. You owe it to yourself to take some time and start thinking about this and writing this down. And if you don't finish, that's okay. At least you've started. Right? When we are in a relationship, this is not a transaction. We're fully in relationship. I want you to start thinking about every client, every interaction as a relationship that you're cultivating. Now more than ever, when there's all this uproar about agents being overcompensated, commissions, all of that, you want to be building relationships, not closing transactions. And when you connect what you say and you promise you'll do with follow through in a special and meaningful way, you're delivering exceptional client experience. Is your experience memorable or forgettable? So many times when we're being interviewed and I ask them, I see you purchased your home 5 years ago. Can you share your experience with that agent? Like, what did you love and what do you hope could be different this time? And they go, I don't remember the name of my agent. Oh gosh, I don't know. That was not memorable. That was forgettable, wasn't it? If it was memorable, they wouldn't be calling me. So what are you doing? Then defining moments. We talk a lot about defining moments at Keller Williams Luxury. Defining moments happen when an ordinary interaction exceeds expectations and leaves an indelible mark on the client and you. It need not be expensive. It just needs to be meaningful in a way that shows them that you know them. Shows them that you know them. How do you get to know your clients?
By talking to them, building that rapport.
Yes.
Asking me detailed questions without trying to sound like you're interrogating them.
Yes, building rapport, asking questions, coming from curiosity, being active listeners, right? We also want to be active observers because the majority of communication is nonverbal. So listen with your eyes, not just with your ears. And really listen. And not just, I ask a question, I'm going to take down notes, I'm going to focus on my next question. Right? Get to know them. Be generally curious about who they are. Do you have a system where you can remember, like in your database? Do you have areas where you can put notes about them? So everything that we do on our team, and I started developing this, was I wanted to make playbooks. At any time, anybody can walk off the streets into our office, pull up a playbook and know exactly how to serve a client. Do you have that playbook in place? So if you're on vacation and somebody's, taking over for you during this time you're gone, and one of your clients calls, will they be able to pull up your database and know about them, know the names of their kids, their pets, their favorite sports, their favorite beverage? Do you have that in-depth database? And you know that information through conversations, right? Through talking with them, building rapport, asking great questions. On our team, we have a getting to know you form that we send even before our in-person meeting. And that getting to know you form has a lot of about the first section's all about that purchase or sale. And then the second is about, oh God, I raised my hand. How do I lower my hand? The second part is all about them, getting to know them. What brings you joy? What's your favorite cuisine? What do you do for fun? Things like that. And when you are touring with them and in conversations, not all about business. You're building that rapport by asking questions. Now, showing that you know them is, anybody can give a keychain, anybody can give, a picture frame. what their logo on it, right? But what are you giving that is differently, that shows you that you know them? So an example, I talked about the lemon tree in Mega Agent Cam, and I talked about the lemon tree on the podcast. Who's heard the lemon tree story? It's like Jay's favorite story now. Okay. So for people who heard it, I'm going to repeat it again. So I apologize that I'm repeating it. So a great example of show me that you know me is we had a client named Rita. She was in her 80s. We were selling her home that she'd been in for over 30 years with her husband. Rita had come over from Sicily with her husband when they were teenagers, with nothing in their pocket in San Francisco, with nothing in their pocket. And they worked in canneries and fisheries. And when they were married, they were given a sapling of a special tree, lemon tree from Sicily. And throughout their early moves, they would just move the pot to every home that they were moving to. And the final home that they bought, their family home, which they raised a family, they actually planted that lemon tree in their yard. Now, her husband passed away, and we were selling that home, moving Rita into assisted living. And when I had asked her, just in passing, or not in passing, but purposely, really, is what's your favorite? What are you going to miss most? And she said, it's going to be the lemon tree. We used to make limoncello with it. We used to like make a sorbet with it. We would have family celebrations and picnics under it. It's grown so big. And so at closing, and reminded her of her marriage. And at closing, we could have given her a keychain. We could have given her a blanket. We could have given her something, right? That you order from 1-800, logos are us. What we did was we asked permission from the new buyers to clip a branch off of that lemon tree, and we repotted it in a pot that we brought from Home Depot, soil, some enzymes, so that she could have it in her last home. That was $30. It's not expensive, but was it meaningful?
Beautiful.
And did it show her that we knew her? Now, Rita just passed away. So her son now has that pot. So what is that defining moment that you sprinkle in between? The defining moments are important. It's not just about things, it's what you do. So when you're looking at a transaction, you have a transactional journey, right? Marker points at every point of the journey. Okay, buyer consult, buyer qualification, buyer search, buyer, all these buyer or seller, these marker points in a transaction. Know that on top of this transactional journey, there's an emotional journey. All right, there are highs in that journey. There are lows in that journey. Are you there to celebrate? How are you going to celebrate them when they're at their high and their happiest? How are you going to preempt or mitigate any of the low points? And when it gets low, what are you going to do to help make it better? So when you're looking at the entire buyer-seller transactional journey, I encourage you to also look at the emotional journey where they could expect. Is this making sense to all of you? Okay, great. So what is your defining moment? So the defining moment a long time was like from the initial get-go is the presentation when they walk into our office. What is their experience like? We even do it for people we interview, like prospective team members. We ask them about their favorite beverage, favorite snacks. They walk in, it's all there. They have a notepad there, they have a pen there, they have a glass of water, their favorite beverage, and their favorite snack. It's part of our culture story. So how do you start thinking about this? So what I encourage you to do, start listing out every phase of a buyer and seller experience. Every phase that you've gone through, that they go through. Then at each phase, ask, what will you do? What will you say? And how will you say it? And what will you ask? Right? So for example, it's they're getting pre-qualified or they're meeting you. They're super excited. They're super excited. They're super happy. And then they're getting pre-qualified and they qualify for less than what they thought they would, right? The journey goes this way. And so what are you going to say and do to help them with that? Then they get super excited that they're making offers and they get super disappointed because they're competing and they're losing, right? So what are some things that you can put in place? So for example, we had a client who lost on six offers that they wrote, they didn't get. And with each offer, they were losing a bedroom or losing a bathroom, or they were moving further away from the neighborhood that they wanted. They were devastated. So we just sent them a note. We know how devastating and how exhausting it's been for the last few weeks. Let's take the weekend off. Let us do the legwork and let us tour the properties for you and take video. And meanwhile, here's a certificate for a great restaurant. Go enjoy the evening off, right? That makes them feel better. Helps them know that you're in it with them, that you recognize and see that they're exhausted. Or maybe it's home inspection, right? You know, the home inspection could be sketchy. You know in your gut that something might show up, but why not mitigate it? Why not say, you know, Melissa, we are now into our home inspection phase, and I just want to share with you what could go right and what may happen, what might go sideways. And if it goes sideways, this is what we're going to do about it, right? When you set the expectation, when it happens, they don't freak out. Because you've already set the expectation that there's going to be a resolution. So every relationship that you have, conversations matter. And the worst time to think about what you're going to say is in the moment you need to say it. Phil Jones says that, right? So always do the work before you need to do the work. So that is your very high level client experience and how you could start thinking about your own. Culture story is important. Who has a mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives written out? Awesome. Fantastic. So for those who don't, it is one of the tenets of Keller Williams is that we are, as a company, have a mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Some of you may have heard the story. When I first joined Keller Williams, I was featured as a head turner, and I was on the big screens, Jumbotron at family reunion. And so after that session, I saw Mo Anderson. And Mo Anderson grabbed vice chairman of the board, our culture standard, right? She grabs my face and she's like, darling, I know you. You were on the screen. I went, oh, yes, ma'am. And she goes, I want to know all about you. And I'm like, what do you tell Mo Anderson? I'm just like, right, stuttering. And she's like, here's my email. Email me all about you. And so that night, I'm in the hotel at family reunion. And I'm like, what do you tell Mo Anderson about yourself? Like my age, my kids. So I sent her my MVVBP that I drafted when I first started Keller Williams. I wake up the next morning, there's an email from Mo Anderson saying, CCing her assistant, asking for a time where she can coach me on my MVVBP. Like, what company?
Wow.
So 2 months later, I'm on vacation because of time zone. It's 5 a.m. where I am, and I'm in the bathroom. Hello, Ms. Anderson, how are you? And she said, darling, it's just too long. And then this is what she said to me. She said, your MVVBP is who you are. It is a living document of representative of who you are and what you stand for. It shows others how they expect you to treat them, to be treated by you. What's most important, where people forget, is how you expect others to treat you and your team members. When she said that, that made so much difference to me, because now I measure every single decision against that. And you may have heard on the podcast, I walked away from a $20 million client because he wasn't in line with our culture. And it was easy to do. I'd rather walk away from that $20 million client that was going to exhaust me, exhaust us, put us in a constant state of stress and with unreasonable expectations, versus maybe finding 5 who actually do value us and love us, right? So in this industry, it's so easy to say yes to everything, but we have to know our worth, right? when we know our worth and we come from abundance and not scarcity, that's when the magic happens, right? We attract what we believe in. So mission, why do you exist? Vision, what's it going to look like once you accomplish your mission? What is your values? What are the values you live by? What are the beliefs? What are the core beliefs of you and your team? And what's a perspective, right? What do you look like to the world once you've accomplished it? And if you've written yours and you haven't looked at it in a while, I invite you to do that. If you've written it when you're an individual agent and now you have a team, I ask you to invite your team to write it together, because authorship is ownership. When you invite your team to write it together, then they own it because they belong. It belongs to them. It no longer belongs to you alone. So authorship is ownership, especially when you're leading a team. Okay, I keep increasing and decreasing this. I apologize. Now your luxury brand. I know we only have 10 minutes left. So your brand is your promise. Your brand standards should be felt through all aspects of your business. So prove it. If you say, I do this or I am that, where's the evidence? Phil Jones said to me, he said, you want to look at it as if you are in a court of law and you're on the stand. And they say, okay, your advertising says you are this, this, and this, and this. Prove it. So what is your proof in everything that you do? So your brand should be felt through all aspects of your business. It's not just a logo. When I ask you, what does your logo stand for? Do you know, do you have something to say? What is your promise? What is the evidence? Show me, do not tell me. It shows up in what you say, how you say it, what you do, how you do it, what you present, and what your clients see and receive. If we say we are approachable luxury, everything should demonstrate that, right? If we're approachable luxury and everything in our marketing is like super exclusive, like only you have to be only this percentage to belong to part of our clientele, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't align. So in order for you to even come with the brand standards, you have to know who you are, right? No, so now this isn't the second part, the part of the exercise for the branding. When you look at the brand standards of a luxury company, now I'm saying luxury, not any company, a well-known luxury company, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like to you? And then think about, what do you want your brand to look like and sound like and feel like? It comes down to the weight of the paper we use, the length of the ribbon, the Pantone color of the ribbon, if it's consistent, right? The scent we have in our houses, the standards we have for every single listing. It has to be cohesive and consistent. Because if the Four Seasons says, you know, the Four Seasons, I had the luxury and the privilege of interviewing their chief, I guess, operating director for housekeeping. There's a 121-point checklist for every guest room. 121-point checklist. So there's consistency in every single hotel room you walk into the Four Seasons, no matter where you are in the world. So what's your checklist look like when you're prepping a listing? Because when we get busy is when things start falling apart. When we get busy, when you start building your big business and all these other clients are wanting to be in relationship with you, things start falling through the cracks. So what is your standard? Now, when you're looking for branding, make sure you focus on your target group, right? Think of your ideal clients or your current group of clients who are always referring to you or coming to you. What does that profile look like? So do you connect with them? Are you branding to them? So for example, if I'm in the wine region, if I'm in Napa Valley and all of my branding is like seashells and beach and waves and dolphins, does that connect with that target group? No. If my target group is people ready to retire and I'm like texting them in lingo that is like, for people that are teenagers right now, and using forms of communication like, oh yeah, just DM me. Do you think that connects with them? No. So focus on your target group. How do you connect with them? Anticipate problem solutions. How will you not just solve the problem, but how do you brand solve? And I think I created this term brand solve is, the Ritz-Carlton, one of my favorite books is The New Gold Standard. It's talking about the Ritz-Carlton. And that's a must read for every member of our team. And the Ritz-Carlton, every single employee, no matter if they're the engineers fixing the ACs or people taking care of the pools or housekeeping or front desk or concierge, they have $500 at their discretion to solve a problem, right? So it's not just about money, but what is your thought process of solving a problem? For us, is getting ahead. When the problem comes, we actually find solutions first before we present it to the seller. We're not saying, Tamika, we've got a problem. And Tamika goes, oh my gosh, what do we do about it? And I go, I don't know. Versus, Tamika, a problem just arose. We've investigated. We've identified 3 solutions that we'd like to present to you. Which one sounds more professional?
Definitely the second one.
Second one, right? Because you're acknowledging a problem, you're providing solutions you've already vetted. So what is your solve consistent with your brand? Strategize for future growth. It has to be scalable. So another example of gifts. Early in my career, even until like 2017, 2018, we were hand delivering every single holiday gift. And as our client list became in the thousands, it was not scalable, right? So plan for scalability with a personal touch. Communicate honestly. Do not exaggerate. If you're not the number 1 agent in your MLS, do not advertise as such, right? We just got, I use this example. I love the movie Elf, with Will Ferrell. And he's like, the greatest coffee in the world. And it's like the worst coffee you could ever imagine. Don't say that. So communicate honestly. Do not exaggerate because people figure it out. And consider your presence holistically. Holistically means in all areas. How do you show up on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on X? Are you a different personality at different platform? If so, it's very confusing to those clients who are looking at you. I guarantee you, when they get your name, they're researching you, right? Just as much as you're researching them. So are you showing consistently across all platforms? And are you showing up how you want your brand to be presented? If you're about elegance, if you're about sophistication, if you're about like elevated, are you dancing on a tabletop on a social media platform, right? So start looking into that. If that's your brand, awesome. But just make
It's
it
interesting you say that because there's been a time, let's say I've been doing this for 14 years, 15 years, I would actually text agent, get it off social media now. And this is Michelle, your mom. Get it off now.
Yeah.
I was wondering when you were going to text me. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Michelle, I took that video down, Michelle. Come on.
Hey, I didn't put it out there, Brian. I didn't say it was you.
Yeah, we had a big house, and one of our agents was doing like angels on the carpet. Like, look at this, it's so plush. I'm like, take it down now. So one of our things, like when we hire, we actually have an agreement that we are able to audit our team members' social media accounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's your brand. Now we're talking about database. Database is one of the most powerful tools you have as a real estate consultant. And it's not any different, no matter what price point you're in. This is where the magic happens. And one of people who was no longer with KW said this to me. He said, if you're not dating your database, somebody else is. I guarantee you, you're not the only one who is dripping on your database, connecting your database. And it's how you communicate with them. And how you communicate with them is determined by how well you know your database. So 21 years ago, I started with clients who were purchasing their first homes. They're now into third, fourth, fifth properties with me. But I still keep sending them things like first-time home buyer workshop. Come on and attend. Do you think it's aligned with where they are in their lives? No. So how well do you know your database? And how do you communicate with them in a way that's meaningful? If you're sending like, here's a fall soup recipe, trying to turn your clock back, awesome. So is everybody else. What are you sending that makes you sound different? Are you sending things out that are of value? So an example would be like, for our VIP clients, instead of saying it's time to change your batteries in your smoke detector, can you imagine sending people out to do it for them? Right? When the interest rates were climbing and people didn't know what to do, I was still receiving like, here's a calendar for the Giants. Awesome. That's not what I want to know right now. What I want to know about is interest rates and how it affects me as a seller or as a buyer. So how are you communicating with your database? How you grow it? Go where they are. Who's your ideal client? Where are they? And go there. Ask for recommendations for people who that you've loved working with. Ask them do they know anybody just like them? And be specific. Instead of saying, do you know any buyers and sellers or investors right now? Ask, Brian, I loved working with you. And who else do you know that's just like you, who is killing it in their career and about to purchase their second income property? So you see how narrow it gets and helps them start focusing on the referrals that they could give you if you've earned it. Network with others who have large databases. The 60s, death, divorce, diapers, disasters, deployment, and dividends, right? So estate attorneys, unfortunately, divorce attorneys, wealth managers, insurance representatives, right? Who has large databases where you can bring value to them, and in turn, they start sending business your way. Always come from contribution. Start something. If you don't have anything you're interested in, if you have a hobby or something you love and there's nothing around to join, start it. Start a BNI network if you want to. So in your database, gather specific information, tag them appropriately. You can't tag appropriately if you don't know them, right? And then connect accordingly. We segment our database. So, okay, these are people who are now entering the retirement phase of their lives. This is the content we're sending them. These are people who are looking to start investing their first income property. This is the information we're sending them. If you're blanketing everybody with the same message, they're going to ignore it. It becomes noise, right? So they'll start unsubscribing. Maintain your database, audit it, make sure information is always correct, communicate systematically, and deepen your relationships with them. And finally, the SWOT analysis is something I love. Is when you're looking at your business, this is the most useful tool. I use this in every aspect of my life. Our kids even use it. What is your strength? Put every one of what are you crushing right now? I know we're a little bit over time because we started late. So Michele, I'm sorry. What are your strengths? Just put everything on the paper. What do you crush and do really well? Weakness. What are your weaknesses? Like, be very honest. Like, this is holding a mirror to your business. What's your weakness? Is it not responding on time? Is it not having the bandwidth? Maybe it's paperwork. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's like you're not even lead generating, right? What's your opportunity? And an opportunity could be like, what is a void in your market right now you can fill, right? Is somebody exiting the neighborhood, exiting from the business in a neighborhood in which you've always wanted to farm? Here's an opportunity. Is somebody going to retire? Is an opportunity to maybe adopt a business, golden handoff? What's your opportunity? Is there Is there a company coming into your area? What's that opportunity? Is there a company exiting your area? What's the opportunity? And what's a threat? The threat could be internal or external. Internal could be a member of your team may not be in culture and it's affecting everybody else. An external threat, economy, interest rates, et cetera, et cetera. So once you've done this, now what? Like, Caroline, I've got all this on the page. What do I do? The next thing you want to do is create an action item. This is your business plan for like the end of the year or 2025. So when you're going to look back at your SWOT and you look at your strengths and you're going to circle 2 or 3 that you're crushing, that if you were to double down on it, could change your business tomorrow. Then you look at your weaknesses. Look for the first domino, the one thing. Look the one thing. What's the first domino? What is the one weakness that if you were to address it and attack it, it could change your business tomorrow? Then opportunity and also threat, right? You don't have to address everything at once. Address the most important one that could be that first domino to make everything easier or unnecessary. Now, what's most important about the SWOT exercise is to make it time bound. It has to be SMART, S-M-A-R-T, specific, what you're going to do, measurable. How do you know you're winning if you can't measure it? Right? You're like, I want to increase my social media audience. Great. By how many? Right? A has to be attainable. Can't, pie in the sky is great, but then you start losing momentum if you can't get there, right? Attainable. It has to be relevant to your goal. And T is the most important, time bound. Give yourself a time in which to do it. Because if you don't connect it with a deadline, I guarantee you're going to look up in December and you go, where did the year go? I didn't do anything. So for example, if your weakness is, I am terrible at marketing, I spend 5 hours a day on my marketing, then your action item may be to find leverage for that, right? And then by when? Maybe it's by end of August, and then you work backwards. So that, in a nutshell, is the 4 pillars. And if you're interested in attending the live in-person 4 hours, it's gonna be 4 hours of condensed, like no breaks. It's going to be at 4 Central Pillars. This is the QR code for Mega Agent Camp. And Symposium, of course, in October, and Luxury Pro membership, we can talk about another time. That's it for me.
You are amazing. Can we give a little round of applause here? This was just so, so good. And I appreciate you for jumping on. I know you're so busy and you took time for us. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Good luck to all of you. And
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, see you in a few weeks. I can't wait to see all of your business thrive and grow, and always here if you ever need me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye, everyone. Good luck.
you.
Thank you.